It's now 17 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now we're going to be talking about home invasions and what you can do to secure your home and family. And so joining us is Chief Executive Officer of Air Support Tactical Security, Mr. Dirk Barnes. Mr. Barnes, good morning.
Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning to those of you in the studio. Happy New Year to Trinidad and Tobago. And all of Trinidad and Tobago, good morning.
And Happy New Year to you as well. I know the last time we spoke would have been late last year, so I hope that your New Year has been good thus far. Now, I want us to jump in right away because we've been seeing so many things happening in terms of people getting abducted and forced to go back to their vaults. We've been seeing some home invasions that unfortunately have resulted in death. And so I wanted to ask you, how can people secure their homes? And before we get into security measures, what can they do simply to ensure that their home and their families are safe?
Okay, well, if you have to look at home invasions and what are the components of a successful home invasion, you have to look at the three components that a bandit would basically use, a criminal. Most of it is surveillance. That's a big part of what criminals will do. They look at your routines, your vulnerabilities. They look at your home from where is the weakest point of the armor, the weakest kink. Then they go into the planning phase where they decide when will be the best time to hit, how they're going to hit, and who they're going to use. Because most home invasions now are not one or two people, it's several people, some of them even armed with firearms. The last part of it you have to look at it again is the execution. And the execution part is what are they coming for? What do they hope to gain? So as a homeowner, you have to have those things in consideration and you have to create disruptors. Those disruptors will come from initiatives, technology, even a change in your routine. So those are some of the things that I would want to introduce to some people in this segment so that they could have a better planning for these home invasions, because home invasions and increase of home invasions are real.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Barnes, you mentioned technology. I want to pause on that for a little bit because I know that some people may not have the money to afford, let's say, the CCTV cameras and stuff like that. One of the important things you mentioned was changing that routine. Tell us a little bit more about that one.
Right, so if you look at the surveillance phase of what the criminals are using, they're using all technologies and information available to them. It's all about information. Around this time of the year, we see a lot of people posting the ads on social media. So let me give you an example. A fete is coming up soon and you want to go to this fete, so you have to announce to all of your friends, hey, this is what we're doing. Put up in your stories. You start to put up these flyers, and I mean at the end of the day, you're trying to promote the fete as well, but you're announcing to people where you're going. Another thing we do as well is that in the fete, in that particular event, we are posting what a good time we're having at the event. That's something that we have been saying stop doing since 2016 when I used to do radio. I used to tell people that's a bad idea. You're telling people where you're at, that you're not at home, so you're at this particular event. There's no problem with posting up the fun that you had at events, but you could probably do that after. I mean,
Yeah.
I take it as a rule. If I'm posting something on social media, I don't post at that point in time. I may take a picture and somebody might think I'm in Miami, but I'm actually sitting down in my bedroom at home, So it's something that you do in terms of disrupting their counter surveillance. As you look at the planning prospect, and these are things that we are not even spending money on. When they're planning or they're doing a surveillance and planning, they're looking at your routines. Change your routines, your work habits, your extracurricular activities. Don't make it a strict timetable that people could eventually figure out just from observation what you're about, where you would be at a particular time. Things like going to the gym, going to the grocery, visiting parents, grandparents. Don't make that a routine. Change it up.
Yeah, change it up so it doesn't become too predictable. I understand that. What can we say as well about those community watch groups? Are they effective?
They're very effective. There's a guy called Darren Carmichael. I can't remember the name of the neighborhood watch group right now, but he does a lot of good work with communities, several communities, and I think his initiative is really trying to create safer communities. I've worked with him in the past, and he works in conjunction with the station councils, which is something that I would also want to, promote. Now, the station council meetings is out of the TTPS, so all of the TTPS police stations, they are mandated to meet with their communities, have a station council meeting. The communities will come into those meetings. I think it's once a month. They will talk about their concerns. Yeah. These are some of the things that should be promoted. And I guess we should be hearing more information from the TTPS. But Darren Carmichael and groups just like that, they work with the station council meetings. They help communities develop their own neighborhood watch groups. And those neighborhood watch groups are very essential. They allow for early warning, early detection, passing information among the community, passing information to the TTPS. And the more resilient these community watch groups are, criminals who are providing surveillance, here's another disruptor for them, because the minute that they try to do surveillance on a home, they are also being surveilled or counter-surveilled by the community. So they know, listen, this is not a place for us to hit, let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And should there be an execution of one of their plans, there's a chance that somebody in the neighborhood will actually see something in progress. Now, getting into the neighborhood might be easy, but once an alarm is ranged, egress, exfil, whatever you want to call it, from that particular community is going to be difficult, because now they have to navigate those roads, navigate that community, get out of that community without being intercepted by the police or even members of national security who might live in that community.
Yeah.
So that's why these community watch groups are very, very essential.
Now let's jump back into technology, but technology as it relates to reinforcements on the whole, because I know some people would put the burglar proofing, they would put some stuff on their windows, on their doors. So let's talk about those reinforcements, how effective they are, because I know sometimes you put the burglar proof to keep the bandits out, but then when there's a situation, you can't get out as well, and so there's also a risk. So let's talk about that a little bit more. We can also talk about the CCTV cameras as well.
All right, so when you're looking at creating deterrence, now remember you have, in the security realm of risk management, you have the detection side of things, you have deterrence, and then you have to have some kind of an action plan. And if all of those things fail, what acceptance of risk you have. Now, when we're looking at the deterrent side of it, and I know you're talking about technology, but let's look at something simple. Keeping your yard clean, keeping the bush low, even the spaces next to your home, behind your home. All of these things provide a deterrent, because that is early warning and early detection to criminals who may want to hit you. Then when you have to look at what you can use within your home, burglar proofing is always recommended, having very good locks, and please use your locks. You would be surprised at the amount of people who forget to lock their homes at night. Now, when we start to move into things like alarm systems and cameras, now, cameras traditionally is not really a security measure. It's not a deterrence measure. It is more of a situational awareness measure. Cameras today now are installed with the PIR sensors, the infrared movement sensors. So they could trigger an alarm, they could send notifications. All of these things are the early warning or the intrusion detection component. And these things should really be set up. And if you can afford it, have it sent to some third-party observation provider, monitoring provider, because that provider as well can initiate a response when you are unable to. Panic buttons in your home to a provider, something that you could also look at investing in. And home alarm systems are not outdated. The technology might be might be old, but it's not outdated. Having an alarm system in the home, especially tied into a monitoring and response agency, is something that could be very essential in your realm of tools for your home larceny, counter initiatives. So those are some of the things that you could also look at. So that's home alarms, cameras. Now, recently, the government of Trinidad and Tobago remove all VAT and duties from cameras. It should be more affordable. But be very careful what you're buying. Start to look at cameras that have good high definition, cameras that come with the infrared and motion detection and has the ability to send your information into a cloud, because the first thing they're going to try to take from your home is your DVR for your cameras. And a lot of the cameras now come with their own SD card slot, so the information is stored on the camera, not necessarily at a DVR.
So, Mr. Barnes, what you're saying is that the bandits are so sophisticated that they're coming and they're taking the tape as well?
Yes, they are. And the thing is, this is not something that they've been doing recently. This is something I've been doing for years. If you look at the statistics for home invasions, robberies, and break-ins over the past few years, up until 2018, there was an uptick. So you will see in the increase in the amount of these instances, and detection remained the same. From 2018 coming down to 2021, there was a decrease, and that was based on what police were doing at the point in time. There were a lot of patrols, a lot of work in the communities. In 2022, there was a slight increase, not as bad as 2018, but there has been an increase. The problem that we're seeing right now is the violence coming with those increases. When these bandits come into your home, they come in groups of 4 or 5 armed, and they come in for something that they know that you have. So it suggests a lot of surveillance is taking place. That's why it is essential. It doesn't cost much. Run proper counter surveillance techniques. If you don't know how to do it, there are many security providers outside there who specialize in providing that information and providing the training. You could seek them out, and that's that's the things that will actually work right now. And those are not those are the things that wouldn't cost you money.
Right. And Mr. Barnes, quickly, as we know we are in the carnival season, some people may not stay here for carnival. They may go out, their home is abandoned, that sort of thing. Is it as simple as telling a neighbor, well, just, keep an eye on the home for me now? Or are there some things you should do to ensure that your house is safe?
Well, locking your home, making sure you have proper lighting, those are some of the important things you should look at doing now, ensuring that your locks are working, and secure your valuables within the home. Because I remember I spoke about the mitigation factors in risk management, but also you have to look at what you're going to do, how you're going to react if all of these things don't work. If they do gain entry to your home, what could you afford to lose? Things like your passports, ID information, deeds, important information like that, documents, secure those things, maybe in a vault outside of your home. The first thing that they're going to go after in your home is a vault. And for those of you who have firearms, if it is that you're going to a fete or a party, do not leave your firearm at home, take it to a station and have it lodged. So those are some of the initiatives I would, or some of the recommendations I would give to people at this time. And remember, please, stop posting where you're going to be, and when you get there, stop posting that you're at the fete. That's a bad idea. That's some of the surveillance that they're currently using against victims on social media.
Mr. Barnes, I have one more question before we end. I mean, we have the homes with the garage and the gate that is remote controlled, and so it takes a while after you drive in for that gate to come down. Any tips for people who may be leaving early, late, that sort of thing, and they're concerned that somebody may try to rob them in that time it takes for the gate to close?
In aviation, on a spare pilot, we had a term when we call it executing a go around. You hit any runway, something doesn't look right, so you just, make a pattern again and you reapproach. Well, I would want to tell people, when you're coming at home, always use the go around feature. You get at home and you reach in front of your gate, drive past your home and look around your neighborhood. See if you're seeing any cars with occupants, just park there. If you have a community group, then that's the point in time you start calling people in the community. You could start to look at calling your neighbor if you have a very good relationship with your neighbor. Let them know, well, okay, I'm coming home, let's look out for me, things like that. When you're arriving at home, if you have family at home, let them know that you're coming, that you have to open the gate, close the gate. Always have witnesses, always have people looking out for you. So those are some of the initiatives that you can use. And again, those are the things that don't cost anything. There is no cost for that, but change your routine. And you could use that, go around to do some counter surveillance, get into your home safely, lock your door, and even when you get in there, don't drop your guard. Because some people, when they reach home, that's when they start the routine of going outside, put out the garbage and all these things,
Yeah. Well, Mr. Barnes, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us, and I do hope that we take some of those tips that you have been sharing. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And that was the CEO of Air Support Tactical Security, Mr. Dirk Barnes, giving us some tips to keep us safe during the carnival season and beyond. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.